It is a good day to scry. Oh my god, I'm in a good mood, my dude, my friendo. Because I have been partaking in the most powerful performance-enhancing drug of all time. Sleep! And hydration and caffeine, but mainly sleep! Dude, I can feel the thoughts in my brain starting where I want them to and ending where I want, and the journey from A to B, get this, it's more or less a straight line. Sometimes I take the scenic route, make my sentences a little more flowery and long-winded than they need to be, but if I want to drive the 101, that's my choice. I don't need to drive to California on the 5. But I can, because I've slept and I feel good. My God, I feel so different when I've gotten the chance to sleep. I feel so damn different. It's wonderful. And the thing is that, like, I really feel the difference in my focus levels because I'm talking the entire day. I have found that if I am, say, doing something that is not requiring me to be present from second to second, like when you're talking, you actually have to pay attention constantly. I can't let my mind wander. When I've been tired, I sometimes will say, play a game, play something like Rocket League, and not think that I'm doing a bad job, but I can just tell I'm missing some shots, and I go, man, am I actually tired? But man, when I'm casting and talking, I can feel the exhaustion, or feel the half focus if I've had that, and when I have it today, it feels wonderful. It feels wonderful. I hope all of you are getting the chance to sleep. I hope all of you are doing well. I hope all of you are having a nice time. Oh, God, Iceman. Oh, I am so sorry. Iceman says, I just lost my aunt a few hours ago. Couldn't go see her. This is for you and the community I need right now. Oh, my God, Iceman. I'm horribly sorry to hear that, man. I've had close family members pass away. Particularly my grandparents, whom I was very close with. I remember I was in the middle of moving, and I just got a call, and just like, Grandma passed away, and it was just, And it's always a weird experience. It's always been a weird experience when someone you care about passes away, because so much of what you were doing before, you still have to do. You still have to, I was in the middle of moving, so I guess, all right, well, that news is horrible. I guess I'm going to keep moving the boxes from the truck to the apartment. And things like that. Just the, in movies and books, there's the moment of tragedy, and then there's the passing that happens. Just a transition right away. There's a transition right away to some other scene, some other moment. But when you're sitting with it, there's nothing. You just gotta. There's boredom. There's agony and boredom. And Iceman, thanks everyone. And Sean, the worst part is couldn't see her because of the virus, and I just felt so powerless. It is always a difficult part of life to accept the inability to do anything or inability to participate in something, even just to show up. And I want you to know I've personally been through it. I know a lot of people here have been through it, and we got your back. Any of you having a hard time, man, come here, hang out. We're just going to be a nice little reprieve from a lot of the things that are going on in life. I was actually even having a chat yesterday with a friend where I sometimes, to relax, play Rocket League or Dota, a real-time game that demands intensity. I actually find Magic to be less relaxing than something that is very real-time consuming, because it takes up a lot of my brain. When I have room in my brain to wander sometime, it can be really challenging. Like, I like Magic. I like streaming Magic for that reason, because this takes up some focus, and then when I'm not doing anything in this game, I look over here, and then I talk to you, and that's the rest of the focus. And all that good stuff happens. So this is part of what I hope, having a community, having a sense of comfort by focusing on things away from a lot of the things that we're feeling powerless about. I know there's, passing of a loved one is one example of that. And there's a lot of people in quarantine where they're like, well, I can't go anywhere or do anything. It's not like a fund I can help participate in. I can't donate my time and volunteer to change the behavior of a virus. I got your back, Iceman. Feel like crying? Feel free to cry, man. It's okay. It's okay. It's a good way to get a lot of that tension out. We got you, my friend. And also, if you ever watch me make misplays in Magic, feel free to cry, Iceman. Feel free to burst into tears. Feel free to burst into tears and just be like, he fucks up so much. Fuck. Oh, man. Hey, I Run JT. I Run JT was complimenting our playlist. Complimenting our playlist. You know what? I like this Esper Bolas list enough. I'm going to play it more. I'm going to start off today. Iron JT was listening to the playlist. Gift and 10 feels good. As Free Brother 9 says, I don't know that I burst into tears. No! Yeah. That's what I'm here for. It's laugh at your pain. It's cathartic. LOL. I know you're teasing. I know you're teasing. I got your back, my friend. I got your back. Oh, Albatross of Time says, I'm currently crying because I'm transitioning a personal project between two different versions of Unreal. Yuck. Gross. Ew. Insta-snap, puke, vomit, burst into vomit. Into it's awful. Oh, God, I hate that. Transitioning versions of an engine is just garbage. It's just the worst. It is the, like, literal bottom ranker task. What do you want to do here? I suppose this is like the persistent damage that I want to get rid of. Teferi, quite contrary, I actually think is a reasonable one to do. Because I could Interplanar Beacon, Teferi bounce something, lose a Teferi, play another Teferi, bounce something. Alright. So, we're going to gain health, or we're going to bounce. The general gist of this matchup, as far as I'm concerned, is if I can do Teferi's signature phrase and slow this game down, this increases the probability of us winning.
This is hardly my worst defeat.
I'm having a burrito for lunch today. Looking for some dog ramp plays. Oh my god. These plays are going to be completely bog damp. I think... Alright, I'm going to do this and I'm going to plus. We've peeled a Shatter the Sky.
Right on schedule.
By plussing, Teferi cannot die.
This might be a
We're
bad
feeling
idea.
good.
I've got it.
Va-va-voom! I've done it. I've won. Ooh. Veal Parmstrong says, I had to leave a stream this morning when they described the Xbox stream as not as poggers as expected. Yeah, no, that's gonna be some serious flog damp for me, man. That's just no one should ever
I have a plan.
feel compelled to speak in such a manner. I'll go ahead and leave the Whisper scan. Shem Whistler says, did you see JP bring up Dog Ramp on Drop Frames yesterday and confuse the heck out of Co? I didn't, but by God, I love that human. JP's a all-around great collection of atoms. Nice! I'll go ahead and do this. Elspeths have low value here. Yeah, JP is one of my favorite meat-covered skeletons with electricity coursing through him, you know. He's just a magical electricity skeleton, I gotta admit.
My army was smelly, but
Here goes nothing.
for you later.
Welcome to Mime9 TV, where we learn to be a better wiggler. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. That's really all a mime is a skeleton with electricity telling its meat to wiggle in a way that emotes. You know what I mean? Okay, so so I think that the smart thing to do is to make a zombie pal. And I think, whoa, not you. Playing our good friend, high kicking Narset. Hi, Sheriff, come here. Yeah, high kicking Narset. And what we want to do is we want to go ahead, we want to just throw an Elspeth Conquers Death at the priest. Hiya. See you later, ooh, ooh, alligator. No. Rats. Suppose cats, actually. Yeah, I mean, show me what you got. Show me what you got. Absolutely not. Not a million years. Not a million years. Wait, I'll play Delagway and fly home. Get out of here, Mr. Sutterbones. Alright, we're getting close to Lilialt, which is good. We're getting close to Lilialt. No revelry up in here, you know it. You do indeed know it. What's going on? Pipe symbol, pipe symbol, pipe symbol, pipe symbol, pipe symbol, pipe symbol, barcode. I always come to work sideways. I can't even begin to express to all of you how good I feel right now. I feel spectacular. Having slept like 2 nights of sleep in a row. Very, very good, my friend. Very, very good. I'm playing some Rocket League. I've been a little car man. Shawnee Carbuncle. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna first play the Parter of Cards. Bing, bong, bang. I'm then gonna dig deep for something. I'm gonna dig deep. We're gonna maybe see if we can find a Shatter the Sky. Narset into Narset. A very traditionalist maneuver. Hey, Golden Pants, PlayStation 4. I'm glad to see you here on our PC-based stream, where we play the video games. Thanks for the 5 gifts in support. I don't know how else to say it. You love to see it. Now, what do I want to do? I don't want this Tail's End, because it doesn't look, feel, or behave goodly. I don't think I want Skilly Lily. She's just too big. She's just too big. Grafdigger's Cage, Kaya, a little Crya, a little Decree Edge. Decree Edge? I think I like the exile effects quite a bit. I like to cut just a little tiny Narset. Oh my god, Foggy Rocks. Are you aware that Rocket League is a sequel? Dude, we gotta talk about Supersonic Acrobatic Rocket Powered Battle Cars, or SART-BC, as the acronym kind of... Oh, it sounds like a slug trying to explain why you should make out with them. Oh, it's all sort of gurgly and burpy and belchy and inconsistent with any way that something speaks in reality. But, like... What? Who runs the robber of the rich? This is the robber of the rich. We need another black source. The rich. Oh, yeah. Fart out of here. I think no. The robber of the rich. So, I actually want to talk about Supersonic Acrobatic Rocket Powered Battle Cars and the nature of small changes for solid gameplay, right? Oh, God, there is a quote that's a variant on the famous Henry Ford quote. The Henry Ford quote is, if I asked people what they wanted, they would tell me to make a faster horse. You guys know this one? You guys know this quote?
I am not going to sit this way. I've got time.
There is a... And the idea behind the quote is that people are very good at looking backwards and thinking about improvements of the thing that's back there, but they're very... Broadly speaking, they very broadly struggle with looking forward and having a collective agreement on what the looking forward thing is. But what do I mean by collective agreement? It is a good day to goodbye. The fuck do I do here? I think Sweet Baby Narset's a little bit stronger here. I want to spiel about this after this game. This game just, I hate to say it, but it really takes some concentration to play Magic the Gathering. Doesn't that suck? You know, let's try to talk, but I'm going to be looking at the game while I talk instead of looking at you like a normal human being. It's a really sort of nice technique if you want to be off-putting. You just talk not at them. You talk like this, like you're a bad boy.
Practice and ill-refined.
Okay, so once upon a time there was this industrial design program, which basically is where an engineer would have a spec describing what the purpose of a product would be, justifying it, explaining it, and then following it up with having a, goodbye. Following it up by actually producing the physical product, actually having like a, you know, maybe using plastic mold injection or some metal working to build the product that solves the problem. And I can't remember what the exact prompt was for this story, but if I just peel a Lando Calrissian, we're going to be a happy, snappy boy. So, this design program had 30 of their industrial design students. Ooh, yeah, you love to see this. Let's get this out of here. Let's place this, and let's look forward to the concession.
That's more like
So this
it.
industrial design program had these 30 students submit proposals for what they thought would be an unbelievably sick, thick, solid, and tight idea. Build a product, and then they gave all these 30 projects, the proposals and the products themselves, they gave them to industrial design professors and industry professionals and I don't know, notable industrial design animals of the kingdom, the animal kingdom. They gave it out to a bunch of pros and had them stack rank them. Stack ranking meaning you have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, order them in terms of goodness. You can't say, well, these are all 6s and these are all 5s, you know, something like this. And so what wound up happening is, in the end, a lot of the products that received a rating of 7 from some of the professionals tended to receive a 7 from everybody. However, the products that were a 1, like the best product ranking from some of the pros, also received a 30 from others. And this is an example of this sort of phenomenon that I was just talking about. You know, this Henry Ford quote of people are better at looking back than they are at looking forward in terms of a collective agreement, where the 7s projects tended to be more or less reasonable, home run, straightforward ideas. You know, like we have the Game Boy and it's in 2 colors. We're going to make the Game Boy in 16-bit color. You know, you have these like, oh, well, that's just a very clear, linear, straightforward improvement. But the ones that were truly brilliancies in their design caused a lot of people to go, I don't understand what the fuck would be good about this. And the example that I love to point to as something that you look at and you go, what the hell? What? QQ Brick says, I know this isn't the point, but I can't find any good source for Ford actually saying that. It may not have been Henry Ford. I might be misattributing it. That's a good point. But I think Twitter is a really good example of this 130 type of dynamic. Twitter is something that is successful, period. Right? There's no debating it. It's a multi-billion-dollar company. I used it just now to let everyone know that I was going to keep trying to play non-Yorion decks. That's how you can tell it's successful. And when Twitter first came out, it was kind of panned as stupid. It was just a dumb-looking, dumb-sounding thing. If you'll recall, when Twitter first came out, they said it was microblogging. Because blogs were really popular in the 2000s, right? Blogs. And when Twitter first came out and they said that we are a micro-blogging site. Oh, I'm against the new Luris player. Sorry, my brain broke for a quick moment. When they said we're a micro-blogging site, everyone would say, why on earth would you ever want to do a microblog? Just, that's the same thing as a blog, but worse. And the argument that a lot of people had, I don't know what our opponent's doing. The argument that Twitter had was that people don't want the burden and the pressure of sharing this giant, long-form post-type thing. When you restrict it to 140 characters, restriction breeds creativity. That is, again, another common, like, creativity principle. So they were like, yeah, no, the reason that people don't, by and large, have their own personal blogs is it's too much pressure to just, like, write some incredibly long post. It's too freeform. It's not restrictive enough. So we're just going to say only 140 characters. And And that's one of those 1 in 30 ideas. That's one of those 1 in 30 ideas. I guess we just get rid of this one, huh? I don't know what to do. I guess I'll keep it. So the whole point of this discussion comes back to this idea that people tend to understand and easily wrap their head around some looking back optimizations, you know? Feel free to dispute. But it's not that people necessarily struggle to look forward and are bad at looking forward. I do think that humans are generally worse at trying to predict the future than they are at looking back and making attunements to the past, because it's more concrete. But I think more broadly, it's that people will have different ideas and different directions and different visions of how the thing's going. And this whole 1s versus 30s discussion is going to now bring us all the way back. Ugh. Ugh. Heh. I think I prefer to have our friend Narset out. This is going to just get disputed. And that's okay.
I know
Get the fuck out of Texas. Yes, so much God. And this is finally going to come all the way back to supersonic, acrobatic, rocket power battle cars. Sart BC was a game that is more or less Rocket League. Alright? It is more or less Rocket League.
I must train harder.
And when it first came out, there were a number of people that actually quite liked it. Right? It had a very dedicated community around it. Speaking of dedicated, I think it's dead as shit. Had a very dedicated community around it. But it failed to get mainstream traction. Now, it's a very, I'd almost say, painfully trivially easy to say something like, well, of course it didn't succeed. It's too niche of a game. This happens really commonly in almost any creative trend. Anything that currently isn't successful is labeled by a group of people as niche. Fantasy is a niche genre. You shouldn't make fantasy. Lord of the Rings comes out. Holy shit, everything's fantasy. MOBAs are a really niche thing. It's a mod for Warcraft 3 with a dedicated community. It's niche. It's not mainstream. League of Legends, Dota 2 come out. And oh, fuck. MMOs were at one point considered niche. You know, it's not mass market. But it's kind of interesting when you look at something like Sart BC, which had a ton of fun, but there were really small adjustments that were made to the game that wound up... Is it niche or niche? I feel like both pronunciations are actually fine. Yeah, both are fine. Both are fine. I've heard it pronounced as both. Oh my god, what's our sideboarding plan? We don't want the expensive, pricey shit. We don't want the Tail's End. We do want the Cry of the Carnarium. We do want the Devout Decrees. We do want maybe these Mystic Disputes. The expensive, pricey things are going to go. Peel and Narset for good measure. When you look at Sart BC, the maps in Rocket League are pretty much uniform. The maps that were in Sart BC had lots of different architectures to them. The ball, if I recall correctly, and someone please correct me on this, with Sart BC, the ball actually kind of had a stronger gravity to it. I don't know about some of the... there's very subtle curvatures that exist around the goals, the walls, and the ceilings that are considered like norm. But it's kind of fascinating to me that when you have a game like Sart BC, the precursor to Rocket League, that they just went, yeah, you know what? This is actually, it's fine. The game is fine. The problem, the real problem, the true problem that we have here. This is the best possible outcome. I play this, I plus it. Almost no way that this can get destroyed.
Here we go.
Unless it's 10th District Legionnaire into something that gives it +1/+1 that's targeted on it. So it's kind of fascinating that there was someone who was at Psionics that just went, no, you know what, this game's good. The game is solid. It's just... ain't nothing wrong with this game. Wow, fucking shit, that sucks.
We'll meet again.
The fight is won. Zoinks, like hey Scoob. Alright, well, blow the man down. But someone at Psionics just went, no. The core game is good, it's some of these fine minor tunings. Think of how easy it would have been for someone to go, dude, people play FIFA, they play actual soccer games. This is a soccer game with more difficult controls. It's a niche game. It is a niche game. The game is niche. We're going to let this resolve because our opponent has enough mana to bring back a single buddy from the dead. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the correct move to take. Oh, fuck. I keep forgetting about this fucking thing. Ah, shit. I keep not playing around Fight as One. That's just a mistake because I'm more into this. I'm 90% certain Joker has a Mystic Dispute in hand, and it's actually fine. What? Someone at Sonics is just like, no, the game's good. The game's good. It just needs it's a little bit more to go. Protection from the color of your choice until end of turn, huh? I'm going to pass through, because what my opponent's going to do is my opponent's going to play a one of these haste babies. And then what I can do is, assuming that there's no Mystic Dispute, I can plus like this. Fucking shit, really? Off the top? Fuck.
I'm known for my excellent
Oh, gosh. Well, yeah, it's just the bad beats. I think we have this game lost anyways. But by God, I'm gonna make this point if it kills me. But yeah, someone at Sonics was just like, no, the game's good, it just needs a couple minor tunings. And I think that that's a really challenging thing to see in the design of almost any product. I think it's just a really challenging design to see in any product. I mean, how on fucking point do you have to be to just look at something that is not currently succeeding as a game compared to a lot of your big mega success stories out there? To look at that and then to go, oh yeah, you know what? Game's fine. Game's actually totally fine. I really just need an Oath of Kaya. Yeah, we did. Any way to succeed now? We've been got it. No! aren't crying because we see 2 gods willing in hand, correct. Our opponent would go pump, pump. There'd be 2 3/3s. They would go to 1/1s. One thing that I find very inspiring in this deck in particular is the use of Tail's End. I kind of think, why not cry the Carnarium? Because it wouldn't kill the flyers, Jay Birdie. They wouldn't kill the flyers. They have 2 instants in hand, which then permits each of the dragons to get +2/+2, making each of them 3/3s. They then get -2/-2, and then they live. Fuck! My name is Orf. Says, why Tail's End, Sean? This is like a really fascinating card that showed up in this deck in particular. And I was sort of like, what? Why Tail's End? If you think about it,
I am not making this up.
There is a lot of legendary gameplay going on. Each companion is legendary. All planeswalkers are legendary. There's just piles and piles and piles of legendary cards out there, such as Lukka, which just get straight up hit. This is the play. So,
I shall miss your
and it deals with activated or triggered abilities. Fuck. Which is kind of a hilariously versatile mode in this meta in particular. Like, in this meta, what are some really good decks? Winota. All companion decks. There's a lot of Planeswalker heavy decks. There's Urros. There are Elspeth Conquers Death and Agents of Treachery. You can counter the Agent of Treachery effect. It comes out, it's a 2/3, and you counter the Capture a Dude effect.
I know my responsibility.
So there's something really interesting about having it as a card, and what it makes me want to do, and kind of what I think I'm going to do today, is I think it makes me want to build an Azorius control deck. So we essentially are totally fucked here. We have to Thought Erasure and hopefully get rid of something very, very quite so scary in the hand. And it's going to be Lukka, the Copper Coat.
I'll protect you. Here goes nothing. Only time will
I don't know
tell.
what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do but burst into tears and eat Mountain Dew. Another day of hot Esper. I was just firing it up. I was just firing it up because I saw it there and I was like, yeah, But I'm going to build an Azorius control deck. I actually feel that Tails and... Well, Azorius control feels very close. How's Teferi gonna die? I think Teferi lives.
That was uncalled for.
Unless I missed something. Yeah, Azorius control feels really close. Really close to being excellent. I wonder if I could do a non-Yorion Esper control. That's really the big question. Hooray. I can see because the Agent Treachery is going to come out and take our land. Shatter the Skies, get out. Oath of Kaya, get the fuck out of there. Mystic Dispute, yup. No! Yes, yeah. I think this is it. I think this is what I'm gonna do. Need the cages, huh? I think I actually... so, in the last insanely long game we played, I almost got to a Liliana Ultimate. But I kind of think that I might want the Narset over the Lily. Lily is very good, but she's very expensive. Her plus doesn't really do a lot against the opponent, and her minus doesn't really do a lot against the opponent. It's just the -9. Narset, however, can relevantly chuck cards and pick off Planeswalkers, which, if the game goes long, we're going to wind up in. Not good enough, huh? Better. Way better. Really good. Excellent. Solid. Tight. Fantastic. What makes Yorion so good? Asks I do 1TT. Yeah, so here is the specific thing that makes Yorion very, very good. First, we're going to just talk about what makes a companion good. If a companion has a reliable effect, or excuse me, a strong effect, it is always in your opening hand, effectively. Therefore, if the companion does something good, you can always guarantee that you're going to get that good thing to happen. Yorion flickers stuff, and so you kind of wind up with this ability to... let's see if I can explain this properly. Okay, so if I'm a traditional control deck, I often, screw control deck, if in Magic, I am trying to be very proactive and do something, like do a lot of stuff right now, what happens? My hand size descends quickly. I might start off with like 7 cards in hand. After a few turns, I'm going to have 4. After a few more turns, I maybe have 1. Okay? So if I do something that is quite proactive and my hand size shrinks down, a lot of times the burden that I put on myself is I'm just going to have to win this one ASAP. Right? And your traditional Jeskai Fires deck looks like this. You start off, hand size goes shrink, 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 shrink. And then you have like 1 or 2 cards, you're trying to burst them down with like Cavaliers and Kenrith, something like that. Now, a control deck is trying to deal with some stuff as well, but then wants to eventually draw and get more cards and blow some shit up. Right? But also, control decks have a little bit of this problem. Control decks, too, wind up a little bit in the position where if they're dealing with a proactive deck that's having their hand empty, I, the control deck, start emptying my cards to stop the shit from happening.
Don't worry, I got this.
And then, gosh, what winds up happening? Well, if I've spent all this energy trying to like run out of stuff, then sometimes I run out of cards and die to the proactive player. Or I have, so it makes me want to have card draw cards in my deck. And that has wound up being the traditional pickle that a control player winds up in. The traditional pickle a control player winds up in is trying to balance card draw with responses, so that way they don't just run out of cards in hand and then they can't do anything. Right? So again, I want you to think about proactivity, hand shrinking down. Control, wanting me to hold off long enough so that my hand size can grow. What Yorion does is Yorion, kind of, by causing a flickering of planeswalkers and enchantments with enter the battlefield effects and creatures with enter the battlefield effects, it in and of itself kind of just guarantees that you get to draw 3 cards. And you still get to be a little proactive. Does that make sense? Instead of descending in hand size being a problem or being bad, no big deal. It's all fine.
Train every day.
Because I just play the Yorion and it flickers a bunch of my stuff. I will show this.
Here we go.
So a lot of times, like, if you play an Omen of the Sea and you have a Narset and you have an Elspeth Conquers Death, in a traditional deck, you wind up with this balancing act between trying to draw enough to keep going versus trying to use enough cards to be proactive right now. And this winds up being always in the hand. This is always, always, always in the hand. Always. So, an 80-card deck reduces consistency. Yeah, that's true. 80-card deck reduces consistency, and consistency is one of the most important things in the video game. It's an incredibly strong aspect to anything. And the consistency that this winds up bringing. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Love to see. I don't know what this shock is for.
Hone your prowess.
What are you gonna do?
This might be a bad idea.
So yeah, you reduce the consistency, but what Yorion says is if you just have enough enchantments and enough planeswalkers and there's enough things to flicker, you avoid one of the most basic gameplay arcs in a card game, which is spending my cards to be proactive, balancing against trying to gain more cards to eventually overwhelm. Because Yorion just lets you flicker stuff. It's really interesting. So the reason that everything's boring right now is that this Narset is preventing us from drawing. Do I think Hushbringer has a place in the meta to break Yorion agent decks? I fucked up. I should have countered that. I just tapped the spacebar. Hushbringer is rather dicey. Because Hushbringer also disables needing to sacrifice Uro and Kroxa. You just play them and then you just have a 2-mana 6/6. So Hushbringers are in a really odd position. Also, Hushbringer, as a tool, gets owned by almost everything. Teferi can bounce the Hushbringer, and then you can cast it. Sack decks. This is such a fucking pain in the ass. I'm gonna concede it because I want to play something different.
Past, present, and future are bound by threads of time.